They called it the Market of Shadows, a place that moved through space like a ghost. Never on maps, never in news. Only whispers led people there. Smugglers, hunters, and lost men. Like him, his name was Jace, a human trader from a small outer colony. He wasn't a hero, not even a fighter. He just bought things, sold things, kept moving. But that day, something changed. His ship picked up a strange signal near a dying star. It wasn't a warning, not a call for help. Just a soft pulse, like a heartbeat in the dark. He followed it, curious. Soon, the market appeared huge, floating, made of scrap metal and bone. It looked like a space station, but it felt alive. As his ship landed, he saw creatures from many worlds walking around. No laws, no order, just trade. Jace walked inside, trying to act normal. Okay, he had seen black markets before, but nothing like this. Here, people sold living things, beasts, pets, half-live creatures, and strange machines. But something pulled him. Deeper, he passed cages with glowing snakes, flying bugs, and things that breathed smoke. Then he stopped. He saw a cage with someone inside. Not something, someone. A girl. Sitting on her knees, chained like a wild animal. She looked human, completely human. Her hair was messy, her body thin, her skin marked with faint glowing lines, not tattoos, more like tech. A tag on her cage said, "Pleasure animal, half sentient, low emotion, not for labor use." He felt sick. She wasn't a machine or a pet. She was alive, maybe more than the others around her. She looked up, her eyes meeting his, and in that moment, everything went silent. Her eyes were sharp. "I'm not empty." She was watching, waiting, thinking. Then, something impossible happened. She spoke, softly, clearly, in broken but real English. "Take me home," Jace froze. He hadn't heard his language since he left Earth years ago. Nobody in this part of the galaxy even knew English, but she did. He looked around, making sure no one heard. "Who are you?" he whispered. The girl didn't answer. She just looked at him, like she had known him forever. A merchant walked over, some alien with 6 arms and silver eyes. "You like her?" It hissed. Very rare type, very obedient. Jace kept calm. "Where did she come from?" "Not your business," the seller replied. "You want her, or not?" He had to think fast. If he said no, they might take her somewhere worse. If he said yes, they might watch him, track him. But if he walked away, he knew he'd never forget those eyes. That voice, how much? He asked. The alien gave a number. High but not impossible. Jace handed over the credits, trying to keep his hands from shaking. "You bought a good one," the seller said, laughing. "Don't let her speak too much. They glitch sometimes." They removed her chains, threw her at his feet. She didn't move or speak, just followed quietly. They walked through the dark corridors of the market. No one stopped them. No one cared. Back at his ship. He opened the hatch and let her inside. She stepped in slowly, eyes scanning everything. Like she had never seen a real ship before. Maybe she had. Long ago, Jace closed the door. Locking the world outside, he turned to her, speaking gently. "Who are you? Where did you learn English?" She looked at him, her voice almost a whisper. "I remember. Earth," she said. Long time ago, he sat down, confused and scared. Earth was hundreds of light years away. No one from Earth should be here. Not like this. She touched a screen on the wall, fingers moving fast. Lines of code appeared. Her eyes glowing faintly. She wasn't just a girl. She was something else. "I was taken," she said. "Changed, sold, forgotten." Then she looked at him, a bit of hope in her voice. "But now, you came." Jace stared at her. A million questions in his mind. He didn't know what to believe, but deep inside, he felt one thing for sure. This girl, this lost human, was not meant to be in a cage, and her story was just beginning. The lights inside the ship flickered as the engines warmed up. She sat in the corner, knees to her chest, watching every button Jace pressed. She hadn't said much since they left the market, but her eyes never stopped moving. She wasn't afraid. Not exactly, she was waiting, like something inside her was counting down. Jace felt it too, a tension in the air, like a storm hiding in silence. He tried not to look nervous, but his hands were cold. "Where do you want to go?" He asked her. She didn't answer. Instead, she stood and walked to the glass panel near the door. Her finger touched it once, twice. Then she pointed out at the stars. "There," she said quietly. "Why?" Jace asked. "That's where they made me," she replied. "That's where they took everything." The ship pulled away from the market, drifting into the dark void. Jace didn't speak. His mind was full of questions he didn't know how to ask. He didn't even know if she was real, but the pain in her voice that was real, suddenly. An alarm blinked red on the control screen. Tracking beacon detected. Someone had tagged the ship. "They're following us," he said. She nodded slowly. No fear in her face. "I thought they would." "How do I stop it?" he asked. She walked up, placed her hand over the screen. The lights blinked, codes shifted, and the beacon vanished. "Just like that. You know how to do that?" he whispered. Shocked, "I was made to know," she answered. "But not to be free." Jace stared at her, heart pounding. "What are you?" She looked at him, this time with sadness. "I'm a locked door," she said. And someone threw away the key. The ship flew through an asteroid field now. Jagged rocks spinning like teeth. It was a good place to hide, but also a good place to die. Jace trusted the autopilot and prayed it would hold. He turned to her again. "What's your name?" She paused. "I don't remember," she said. "They called me Product E9. That's not a name." Jace replied. "I know," she said. But they didn't care. He opened a drawer and took out a blanket. "You're not cargo anymore," he said. Handing it to her, she touched it like it was made of light. Soft things were rare in her world. Just then, something beeped. A ship, a big one, had entered the same sector. Jace checked the screen, heart sinking. "Corporate enforcement cruiser," he cursed under his breath. "They found us again." She stepped beside him, looking at the screen, her face calm. But her voice colder than before. "If they catch me, they'll wipe me." "They'll what?" "Erase everything," she said. "My mind, my memories, even my voice." Jace felt the weight of her words. She wasn't just asking for escape, she was asking for her life. He made a sharp turn through the asteroids. The cruiser followed. Firing a warning blast, lights flashed red, metal groaned, but the ship held strong. He looked at her. "Can you help me again?" She nodded, sat at the co-pilot seat, and placed her hands on the panel. Lines of alien code flowed across the screens. She wasn't just skilled, she was designed for this. And yet, tears formed in her eyes. "I don't want to be a machine anymore," she whispered. "I want to dream, to laugh, to be human." "You are human," Jace said. "They just tried to make you forget." Together, they flew through the storm of rock and flame, chased by a system that wanted her silenced. But she was done being quiet. She reached into the ship's firewall, pulling energy from forbidden tech. The cruiser behind them burst into flames, systems fried by her signal. She leaned back, breathing hard. Her nose bleeding. Using that power came at a cost. "You didn't have to do that," Jace said. Holding her. "I did," she said. "Because now, we're not just running." She looked at him, eyes glowing again. "Now, we're going home," Jace. Didn't know what home meant to her, but he knew one thing. He'd do whatever it took to help her find it, because this girl, this broken, beautiful mystery was not made to die in a cage. She was made to choose, and for the first time in her life, she had. The stars outside the ship were quiet now, but inside, everything was heavy. Not with sound, but with silence, a silence filled with questions and things too painful to say. She slept for the first time in hours, curled in the co-pilot chair. Even in sleep, her fingers twitched like she was still typing code. Her body was calm, but her mind was running from something deeper than space. Jace watched her, unsure of everything. She had saved his life, more than once, but still. She was a mystery wrapped in wires. Who was she really? Oh, why was her body marked with glowing lines? Why did she speak Earth's language in a galaxy where no one remembered Earth? He couldn't sleep, not without answers. So he did what he knew best. He scanned. He activated the ship's med bay scanner. It hummed softly as it read her vitals. Heartbeat normal, blood pressures lightly low, but then the machine blinked red. DNA structure, human. Incomplete, he frowned. Incomplete. He whispered, the machine wasn't broken. It was confused. Jace ran deeper tests, more scans, more layers. Then he saw it. In her brain, small chips, nanotech hidden deep in her neurons. Buried like secrets. She's not sick, he said to himself. She's engineered. She woke up slowly, as if pulled from a dream. Her eyes met his, calm but tired. You scanned me, she said. Not angry, just ... Accepting, yes. He replied, I needed to understand. And what did you find? She asked. He hesitated. You're human, he said. But someone changed you? She sat up. Pulling the blanket around her, they said I was made for peace. She said softly, but trained for war. Jace blinked. What does that mean? She looked down at her hands. Once, I was a child, like any other, she said. I think I had a name. A family. But then? They came. Her voice shook now. I remember white walls. Voices behind glass. Lights always on. They said I was lucky, chosen for something big. Chosen. The word tasted like poison on her tongue. They took my memories. She said, piece by piece, like pulling feathers from a bird. Then they gave me new ones, orders. Missions, lies. Jace leaned forward. Who were they? She closed her eyes. I don't know, she said, but they wore the Earth emblem on their suits. He froze. Earth. Earth wasn't a dream then. It was involved. Do you remember where they took you? She pointed at a star map, shaking slightly. There, she said. Sector 12Z. Near the black field, that's dead space, Jay said. No signals, no colonies, no life, she replied. Exactly where you'd hide something that shouldn't exist. Suddenly, she stood, walked to the wall, and pressed her hand against it. The ship reacted, screen shifting, panels moving. A secret storage unit opened. Inside was a chip, glowing faint blue. I stole this before they sold me, she said. It has logs, files, truths. Jace plugged it into the system. Lines of encrypted data filled the screen. The logo at the top made his heart drop. Project Eve. Earth Vanguard experiments. He scrolled down names, numbers, test results. Children born from cloning tanks, trained in silence. Upgraded with nanotech, coded to obey. Most of them didn't survive. Only a few made it past year 3. Only one made it to year 10. Her code, E9, her status, escaped. Jace couldn't breathe. She wasn't just a victim. She was the last echo of something terrible, a secret buried by Earth itself. She sat down beside him, eyes on the screen. I don't want revenge, she said. I just want to know who I really am. I want my life back. Jace looked at her not as a machine, not as a tool, but as a person. Lost, but not broken. Hunted, but still human. You'll have it, he said. I promise. And for the first time since she had spoken those 3 words, take me home, she smiled. It was small, faint, but it was real, and it changed everything, because now It wasn't just about escape, it was about truth, and the truth was no longer sleeping. It was awake, and it had a name. Asterisk space was never truly silent. There were always echoes, whispers of engines, fragments of broken signals, and shadows following. Behind, Jace thought they were free, but freedom was never easy to keep, not when she was with him. The girl in Neen, or whatever her real name once was, stood at the center of the ship. Eyes closed, feeling something Jace could not. "They're close," she said. Jace looked around the control panel. Confused. "No ships on the scanner," he replied. She opened her eyes, sharp and calm. "They're using black code cloaking." Black code. It was banned across half the galaxy, a stealth system designed to hunt without being seen. Only one kind of group used it now: private hunters, paid to bring back what governments couldn't control. "How many?" Jace asked. "3 ships," she said, "all locked on me." He swallowed hard. "How do you know?" "I don't know how," she said quietly. "I just feel them." He trusted her because everything she said came true. And if these hunters caught her, he knew what would happen. They wouldn't take her to safety. They'd return her to the labs, to the cold lights, to the silence, to the place that erased her name. The ship jolted barely, like a flicker in time. She stepped forward, her voice firm now. "They've started locking weapons." Jace jumped into the pilot seat, flipping switches. "Then we run." The engines screamed as the ship broke into full burn. Behind them, nothing on the radar. But she knew, and he believed her, through asteroid belts, dust storms, and light-bending curves. They flew. Still, the girl stayed calm. She moved like she had done this before. Like she had flown 100 times, but couldn't remember when. Then, out of nowhere, 3 shadows appeared. Black ships with no lights, no markings, just sharp metal and hunger. They didn't fire. Not yet. They were watching, calculating. The comms crackled. A voice came through. Smooth, male, cold. "Jace Donovan, you are flying with restricted cargo. Hand it over, and we leave you breathing." He didn't answer. Beside him, she spoke into the comm. Her voice was calm, deadly. "I'm not cargo." Silence on the other end, then laughter. "E9, always a fighter." The voice replied, "You were never meant to survive this long." She leaned closer to the mic. "Then maybe your designers were just bad at their job." They fired. The first blast hit the shields hard. The second scraped the hull, cutting deep. Alarms screamed. Panels sparked. Smoke filled the cabin. Jace gripped the controls, dodging debris and fire. "I can't outrun them for long," he said. "You don't need to," she said, standing up. "Just get me close to one of them." "What?" "I have an idea," she said, eyes glowing faintly again. "It might kill me, but it might stop them too." "I'm not risking your life," he shouted. She placed her hand gently on his shoulder. "You already did," she said. "The moment you took me from that cage," he slowed the ship just enough for the hunters to close in. She opened the side bay door, air rushing in with a roar. Her hair blew wild, her body shaking from the energy building inside her. She stepped into the light, facing the nearest hunter ship. Then she raised both hands, palms glowing blue. The hunter ship paused. Its systems flickered, then shut down. No fire, no movement. Just silence. A second later, it exploded into light. She fell back, coughing blood, her body smoking from inside. Jace ran to her, catching her before she hit the ground. "You're burning up," he said. "I'm not finished," she whispered. The other 2 ships backed away, unsure now. They had seen her power but not understood it. She was not just a test subject. She was the result of a weapon Earth tried to bury. One of the ships sent another message. This time, the voice was slower. "Almost afraid you're unstable. E9, you'll destroy yourself." She smiled through blood. "Good," she said. "Then I'll take you with me." The hunter ships vanished into warp space. fleeing. They knew she could destroy them at the cost of her own life, and they weren't paid enough for that risk. Jace carried her back to the medbay. Her breathing shallow. She was fading, but still awake. "I don't want to be a weapon," she said softly. "Then don't be." He said, "Be human." She closed her eyes. "I'll try," she whispered, "but I don't know how." He held her hand. "Then I'll remind you." And as the ship drifted into dark space, carrying a broken girl and a tired man somewhere behind them, fear was growing. Because the hunters had failed, and Project Eve was awake again. The planet was not on any official chart. No name, no light, no signals. Just a frozen sphere floating in black space, dead, forgotten, and perfect for hiding the worst kind of secrets. Jace stood at the edge of the landing ramp, his breath fogged in the cold air. Behind him, she walked slowly. Wrapped in a coat 2 sizes too big, still weak from using her powers, but her eyes were sharp. "Focused. This is it," she said. Looking into the distance, he followed her gaze. There was nothing but snow and jagged rock, but she kept walking. Each step like she was following a memory, one not fully hers. "How do you know this place?" Jace asked. "I don't," she said, "but my bones remember." They moved across the ice. Until they reached a flat cliff face, she pressed her hand against the wall. It scanned her without a word, without a light. Then it opened, stone splitting, silently revealing a hidden doorway deep underground. Jace blinked. "Are you sure you want to go in?" She didn't answer. She had already stepped inside. The hallway was metallic, old, but still alive. Faint lights hummed to life as she passed, like the place recognized her, or still owned her. Walls lined with glass chambers stood empty. Some cracked, some burned, some filled with ash. Each one had a tag above it. Subject E1, E2, E3. She stopped at E9, her chamber. "It's mine," she said, her voice hollow. "This is where I woke up." Hush. Jace looked at the room, trying to imagine it, a little girl alone. Hush. Wired to machines, trained not to cry, not to ask, not to dream. He felt sick. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. She turned to a control panel, her fingers moving like she had done it 1,000 times. A screen lit up, showing files, logs, voice recordings. Project Eve, Earth Vanguard Enhancement. Jace read the lines out loud. "Cloned children, enhanced with nanotech, designed to obey. They didn't want soldiers," she added. "They wanted tools." She opened a voice file. A man's voice spoke calmly. "E9 is different to emotional. Too aware, she asks questions. If this continues, we may have to terminate her." Jace clenched his fists. They wanted to break her, to delete what made her human, but they failed. More files opened video logs. One showed her at maybe 5 years old, drawing stars on the wall with a sharp object. Another showed her in training, fighting machines twice her size. No fear in her face, only silence. Then came a recording labeled Incident 37. The screen flashed, alarms sounded, and chaos filled the lab. A voice screamed, "She's awake! We didn't authorize the unlock." Then static, she broke out. Jace whispered. "No," she said. "Someone unlocked me?" Jace looked at her. "What do you mean?" "I didn't escape on my own," she said. "Someone, ... helped me. Then vanished. Before they could erase me, I ran." Another file blinked hidden deep in the code. She opened it slowly, hands shaking now. It showed a list of personnel: scientists, engineers, and one unexpected name. Jace Donovan, Field Tech Assistant, Earth Division. He froze. "What?" "I knew I remembered your voice," she said softly, tears rising. "You were there." He stepped back, heart pounding. "I worked with Earth Command. I installed shields and Enava systems. Not this." She nodded. "You weren't part of the experiment," she said. "But you were there the day I escaped." "I don't remember helping you," he whispered. Maybe you didn't mean to, she said, but you left a door open. You triggered a system. You gave me a chance. He couldn't speak. All this time, he thought he was saving her, but maybe he had already saved her once before, without knowing. I wasn't looking for revenge, she said. I was looking for why I lived. Now I know. She turned and walked deeper into the facility. Jace followed. Still stunned, she entered a room filled with backup memory drives, glowing faintly. Without warning, she crushed them with a wave of her hand. Sparks flew. Files vanished. Everything about Project Eve burned in silence. No more cages, she whispered. No more codes. No more chains. Jace stood beside her. Then what now? She looked at him, really looked. Not with fear or sadness, but strength. Now, she said, I build a life. And you, she added, you help me remember what that means. And in that broken place of nightmares, where names were numbers and children were tools, she took her first real step. Not as E9, not as a weapon, but as a girl finding her origin and choosing to become someone. The wind outside the facility howled like it knew something was ending. Inside, the power was dying, systems blinking out one by one, but the silence was deeper than before. It wasn't fear this time. It was calm, the kind that only comes before a hard decision. She stood in the dark control room. The last backup drives melting behind her. Her hands trembled not from weakness, but from something else, something new. Freedom. Jace watched her quietly, unsure of what to say. He had seen people run, break, lie, and fight, but never someone erase their own past and still stand tall. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was becoming. The door slid open behind them with a soft hiss. A small drone hovered in. Blinking green, it projected a message. A face appeared, older, serious, Earth military uniform. Cold eyes. Jace. Donovan, the voice said, we've tracked your signal. You're harboring stolen property. She didn't flinch. Jace stepped forward, fists clenched. She's not property, he snapped. The voice continued. We're willing to offer you a deal. Deliver the girl back to Earth Command, and your record will be cleared. You'll be paid, protected, and set free. He froze. They knew about his past, his black marks, his failed contracts. They were offering him a way out. A clean slate. All he had to do was hand her over. The drone hovered quietly, waiting. The message ended, but the choice didn't. She turned to him, no fear in her eyes. I knew this would happen, she said softly. They don't like loose ends. I'm not giving you up, he said at once, but she held up her hand. Don't say that yet, she whispered. Not until you mean it. He stepped back, hurt flickering in his face. You think I'd sell you out? I think everyone has a price, she replied, even if they don't know it yet. He didn't answer right away, because deep inside, there was truth in her words. He had wanted a clean life for years. A fresh start, and now the door was open. If he closed another one. She walked to the edge of the control room and sat down on the floor, tired, calm, eyes staring into the dark hallway. They trained me to obey, she said. They didn't expect me to hope. Jay sat beside her. They don't care what you feel, he said. She nodded. They care what I can do. He looked at her hands, small, scarred, glowing faintly under the broken lights, hands that had destroyed ships, erased systems, bent tech to her will, but also hands that had held his when she was afraid, and reached out for help when no one else believed she was worth saving. They won't stop, he said. No, she replied. But we can? How? She pointed at a small black device in her pocket, a remote link, silent, unnoticed, but powerful. It'll overload the Earth's data relay, she said. Shut the whole EV system down for good, but it'll ping your location, Jace said. They'll come fast. I know, she whispered. That's why I'm asking you. He turned to her, confused. For what? She looked at him, really looked deeper than ever before. To decide, she said, if you want to run. Or stay and finish this with me. Silence fell. Even the wind outside seemed to pause, the kind of pause that only comes once in a lifetime. He stood up, walked away, thinking hard. The offer from Earth echoed in his head. A new life, money, safety, all so close. But when he looked back at her sitting there, quiet and waiting, he didn't see a weapon. He saw a girl, alone in a world built to break her. He walked back slowly, knelt beside her, and took her hand. I'm staying, he said. She didn't smile. She didn't cry. She just nodded, like she already knew he would choose right. Together, they activated the device. A pulse of silent energy spread across the system. One by one, hidden labs, black projects, and buried data centers blinked out of existence. The chain was breaking. Moments later, their ship's sensors lit up. 3 Earth ships, fast, armed, and closing in. Jace looked at her. No turning back now. Good, she replied, standing tall again. I don't want to go back. The ship shook as they ran for launch. This wasn't escape anymore. This was resistance. 2 people, one broken by design, one lost by choice, standing against the machine that tried to erase them both. The sky above cracked open with fire, but they were ready, because sometimes the most powerful thing in the galaxy is a choice that says, I'm not yours anymore. The sky above the frozen planet cracked open with fire. 3 Earth military cruisers descended from orbit, their engines roaring like falling gods, but inside the small ship hidden beneath the ice, a girl who was never meant to exist stood ready. To fight for her place in the galaxy, she was no longer E9, no longer just a project. She had chosen her name Kaya. It meant nothing in Earth's language, but to her, it meant beginning. Jace sealed the cockpit as warning lights blinked red. The enemy was coming, fast guns, armed, orders clear. Capture her, erase everything, leave no trace. Kaya stood at the center of the ship, eyes closed, palms glowing faintly. The nanotech in her blood pulsed with heat. She wasn't just resisting now. She was calling. All across the galaxy, silent beacons flickered to life-dormant chips buried. In others like her, clones, forgotten prototypes, broken versions who had survived in secret, they felt the signal in their bones. One word rising in their minds like fire. Rise. Kaya opened her eyes. It's begun, she whispered. Jace looked at the monitor signals lighting up from the outer colonies. From abandoned labs, from junk ships thought to be dead. You did this, he said. No, she replied. We did. Outside, the first cruiser landed, metal claws digging into the ice. Black armored soldiers poured out, armed and trained. But they weren't ready for this. Kaya stepped out onto the snow, facing the storm. She raised her hand calmly and sent a pulse through the air. Their weapons jammed. Their coms died. Their visors went black. They screamed in confusion as she walked through them, unarmed but unbreakable. Jace followed, gun in hand but heart. Racing, he didn't need to protect her anymore. He just needed to stand beside her. Suddenly, a blast tore through the ice. The second ship had opened fire. No warnings now. Just war. Kaya fell back, her shoulder burned by shrapnel. Jace pulled her behind cover, fear rising. You okay? He asked. She nodded, eyes glowing even brighter. They're scared now, she said. They should be. She reached into the snow, touching the earth beneath it. The ground itself responded. Her signal, echoing through deep tech buried years ago. A forgotten satellite rose from the ice like a ghost. Its systems woke up, and it spoke. Command link restored. Kaya smiled. Let's give them something to remember. She directed the signal skyward. Every remaining Project Eve unit, every runaway, every survivor heard her voice through. "The stars, you are not tools," she said. "You are not broken. You are not alone." And across the galaxy, they moved. Ships hijacked. Labs destroyed, chains shattered, no war banners, no leaders. Just one voice, one memory, one fire. Back on the ground, the third cruiser landed. Firing into the snow blindly, Jace ducked behind a ruined wall. Bullets flying overhead, Kaya stepped. Out again, weak now, bleeding but still standing, she raised both hands. Energy building in her chest like a second heart. With a scream, she released it. The blast bent the sky, sabling the final ship's systems, melting its engines. Soldiers collapsed. Not dead, but disconnected. Their tech was useless now. Their control gone, silence returned. But it wasn't fear this time, it was freedom. Jace ran to her, catching her as she collapsed. "Kaya," he whispered. "Stay with me." She opened her eyes slowly. "I'm still here," she said. "Just tired." He smiled through the blood and snow. "You did it?" he said. "No," she replied, barely speaking. "We did." He carried her back into the ship, heart pounding with hope. Messages flooded in now, broadcasts from rebels, from survivors, from humans who had been forgotten. The galaxy was waking up. And it all started with a girl they tried to cage. She lay in the medical bay, eyes half closed. Jace sat beside her, hand in hers. "What now?" he asked. She didn't speak right away. Then, quietly, "We go find the others. We help them remember who they are. We show them they have a choice." Outside, the broken ships still burned. But above them, for the first time in years, the stars didn't look cold, they looked free. Because in a galaxy built on silence, one voice had spoken, one girl had stood, and one revolution had begun.